He's awesome. All right, here we go. So,
Okay.
we're going to lay on our sides. And we're just going to scooch the leg around. Support your neck if necessary. Get as straight as you possibly can with your head all the way down to your hips and then to your ankle. And we're going to make the roundest circles that we can. It doesn't matter if they're little circles or bigger circles, but we want the leg to go back here. And we're only going to do this 3 times. And then we're going to do it 3 times the other way. And all we want to do is make sure that that heel goes behind the hips at some point. Then we're going to flip over 3 times the other way around. No. And then back the other way. So the biggest circles you can make and still have them round. Now, Linda, we were talking about hips and knees. Are those circles symmetrical, right to left?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
For you, Karen, not so much?
No.
Okay. Let's see what happens after we do our warm-up. So we're going to do lower body segmental roll, and we're going to do some rocking and some... So lower body segmental roll here. We're just going to go halfway and then flip over and then halfway. Remember, on these segmental rolls, there's a sequential part of this. So the ankle moves first, and then it moves the knee, and that moves the hip. And you can bend your knee if you want to have the foot go back as far as it can go. And then same thing, other side. And it can also twist this way. So the knee goes up towards the ceiling. Ish. We'll go here. And then a nice big twist. Good. And then we'll just roll over onto our back. And same thing, we're just going to kick this leg way over here. And it's important to get this leg, the ankle, to pull the hip over. Just going to roll this over.
I can't see where your arms are.
They're just over my head, but they can be anywhere.
Okay.
Let me do my thing here. Over the head works a little bit better because you can let your torso can twist a little bit more. Okay. And now we're just going to go up onto our hands and knees. We're just going to rock backwards, rock forwards, come back to the center, spine towards the ceiling, spine towards the ground. rock backwards. Use your hands to pull yourself forwards. Press your spine to the ceiling if you can in this position. And then go back to middle. Spine towards the ceiling. Spine towards the ground. Rock. Come forward. Spine towards the ceiling again while you're forward. This is an important position because this is hard to keep those shoulders away from your ears, but also have your elbows straight and your spine rounded. That's a corner. We're going to go spine towards the ceiling again. That's a corner of the shoulder movement that is often not present. We'll come back here, rock backward, rock forward, press the spine up, come back to center, arch, arch, arch as much as you can, spine towards the ceiling as much as you can. And then here's our last one. Backwards, forwards, spine towards the ceiling. And then spine towards the ground. And then spine towards the ceiling. Good. Now, let's just quickly do this. Just see what happens. We're just looking for a small improvement. We don't need to have everything fixed in our hips just from 5 minutes of warm-up. But we want to know, hey, are we making progress? We're just going to cycle through this. And then turn over. Whoa, look at that. That's a nice change right there. For this one, what we're looking for is symmetry between right and the left, but we're also looking at symmetry, we'll call this counterclockwise to clockwise. And then we're also looking symmetry forward to back. So like if we have a nice round circle here, and then it comes straight down because our hip won't move that way, then we're looking for symmetry on the circle as well. So 3 kinds of symmetry. So let's roll onto the back. And we're gonna do our windshield wipers. We'll just go real slow. And we're just gonna do 3 of these. And we're just going to breathe as deeply as possible through this whole thing. So when you're over on the one side, full range of motion on the one side, we want to just take a nice deep breath. Same thing, other side. And then same thing, last one here. Now, we're going to go into get our side lunges here, get our chair ready. Scooch it off to the side so that when we land on this thing, that we have room for this hip to move, and we're just going to sit into this. Now remember, this one is, the way we get up from this one is, we just push this knee outwards, kind of push the foot into the ground and then twist on it, and that will get us to stand up. Make sure we're getting just a tiny stretch in through here. So have your feet as wide as you possibly can, and then back down, and then back up, and then back down. And then same thing, other side. Now when we're doing this, we're using this outer butt muscle some. But we're also using these side muscles here in the trunk. And we're going to use those muscles as well on our other side. So we're kind of doing two things here. As we're moving around, we're keeping these from moving. Then we go back to the ground. And we do our windshield wipers. And then we do a lot of moving. So if you feel like it, you're here like this. If you feel like it, you can have a little bit more leverage. Tip over. And then breathe. But the most important thing is to be able to breathe at that end of the range of motion. So if you have to come up a little bit to breathe, then that's where your real end of the range of motion is. Watch out, Thomas. I said watch out. And while you're doing this, you might notice that your shoulder blades are moving a little bit. Not a lot, but just a tiny bit. And that's a good thing. To keep your shoulder blades flat on the ground, they have to move a little bit. And that's what we're trying to encourage. We're trying to ask nicely of those shoulder blades to move around. Now, we're going to ask the shoulder blades to be a little bit more stable as we come into this position here. Now, one thing on this is, like, if you can take your hands and clasp them like this and then pull apart just a little bit, you'll feel this underneath your armpits get a little bit tight, and that will help stand you up. It might help you stand up. Good. And then other side. So grab your hands, pull them apart just a little bit, just to make this tighten up here. And then back. So we're just doing a one-legged squat with a little bit of assistance, with a little bit of a kickstand or an outrigger. Good. And then one more time. Back to the ground. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Let those shoulder blades move a little bit if they can. Everything is flat to the ground. And then, here's our last one. Good. Now, let's take our bands, and then we're going to do some banded work with rows, and we're also going to do a side crawl. And now it's important on the side crawl that you have your back as parallel to the ground as possible. It's okay to be in this position. That's a good workout. But if you can be down here, that's a little bit better for your hips and a little bit better for the core. But it's a little bit harder. So if you usually have your hips up here, that's fine. Do 1, 2, and then just put your hips up if you have to. But do as many as you can with your spine parallel to the ground. And also, something that helps with that position is making sure that your hips are right directly over your knees. And your wrists are right underneath your shoulders here. So, very much 90 degrees here, very much 90 degrees here. All right. So we're going to do 3 of those side to side crawls, and then we'll do 6 rows. And the rows are very familiar to you by now, hopefully. Here like this. Grab your band. We're going to make our spine nice and neutral, like a good hinge position. And then with the elbows starting straight, you're just going to pull up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry about that. So we're going to do 6 of these rows. Anytime you're ready. Now this one as well, in the very same way that we're doing these, a parallel spine to the ground with the rows, we're in a similar position, but we should be able to move our head around on a rowing motion. And the same thing with the crawling. You should be able to, it's super easy just to kind of look down at the floor and kind of hang out in that position. But we want to be able to move around. And we want to make sure that when we're using these back muscles, that we're not substituting these neck muscles for that stability. We want there's enough muscle back here, up here, to do that work. So, and the thing is, if you can't move your neck in the same way that you can move your neck, when you're doing the exercise, if you can't move your neck the same way without doing the exercise, then that means that your neck is trying to help with that exercise, and that's usually never a good thing. So, here we go. When we're doing our crawling, look around, make sure there's no cheetahs in the bushes coming to get you. That's 3 crawls. And then we'll go back to our rows. And we'll do a little experiment as well with the neck. Make sure that we can move the neck nicely without tension and then with tension. So here we go. Do a little test, move the neck around, pull the hands back towards the armpits, the elbows above the spine, move your neck around, should be pretty close to the same. And then we'll just bust out 5 more of these. Lots of tension back here, but way back there behind the heels. 6 total. I'm gonna get me on the, so I can see what the deal is. There you go. What do you think, Karen?
What do I think about what?
The rows.
If I did them the right, they were okay.
Good. Is your neck able to move when you're doing the rows?
Yeah, freely.
Good. All right. Here we go. Back to our crawls. Again, make sure that you can look around in your crawling position without the load. If you put your knees up off the ground, you should still be able to move your neck pretty much the same. I'm going to let the spine go right parallel to the ground. Only 3 of those, but still, holy Hannah. Ooh. Go Dan. Nice. Okay. One last time with the rows. Now, Linda is doing a nice version of these too, which is something to point out. These are okay too. So if you put your feet in the band and you're just pulling these back as well, that's another kind of row that's a good row.
But what should I be doing? I wasn't following it right?
Either way, this way is good. Or you can do it, put your feet in the middle. They're both the same thing, but sometimes if your legs are a little bit longer in relation to your torso, then sometimes that wide stance is a better stance. Like that might be a better stance for you, Dan, because your legs are so long. That might be a better movement for you. Either way, it's the same thing. You're trying to get your your thumbs into your armpits. You're trying to get your elbows behind your spine, and your butt is behind your heels, creating some tension back here. Any of those is good. Now, Linda, on this one, when you're tipped over like that, just pull your elbows behind your spine, but you don't have to stand up, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, totally feel that.
Yeah, good. So any of those movements are good. And I just bought a bunch of bands as well, so I'm going to be in the Bay Area in 2 weeks on the 18th of November. So if you need a stronger band, let me know. Let's do one last thing of crawls, and then we'll be done. Let your spine just go loose a little bit. Keep your spine close to the ground. If you want to keep your knees on the ground, that's good. If you want to keep your knees off the ground, that's okay too. Look around. Make sure your neck is not helping out with the shoulder stability. Holy Hannah. All right, everybody. Thank you again.
Okay.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.